went to the military in 1980, and retired in 2005. He has a wide, extensive variety of service,
And I believe in the
accommodations,
Second Amendment.
graduated from several military courses while he was in service. He was a Dalton Police Department detective for 7 years, got accommodations for his bravery and actions there. Been trying to drag him in here for a while. Finally found a topic he was really interested in, and I win the prize because I've got a lot of people here tonight that I have been after about coming. How's that? Is that good enough? Okay. So we're so happy to have this patriot, Ron Thurman. Thank you, Ron, for coming.
All right, here is the, Habersham County beat us to the punch on the sanctuary location in Georgia. So, and this was just last night. Second Amendment, people are wondering, they talk about the Second Amendment. What gives us the right to own a firearm?
Constitution.
No, our natural rights for protection.
What does the Second Amendment do?
Ensures those rights.
What?
Backs it up.
Pretty much. The Second Amendment, in great detail, in the land, and most of what you'll hear comes from Justice Antonin Scalia in District of Columbia versus
Heller.
The landmark Supreme Court case, DC versus Heller, the court explains that all citizens are the militia.
That's right.
Not a militia is not an organization. Just normal organization. It's not an organization of special. Yeah, there are armed militias that in states that they're called militias, but we're all the militia. That's the way the founders saw that. All the citizens are militias. The court states that, and this is a quotation from Justice Scalia, it was clearly an individual right having nothing whatever to do with service in a militia. Reading the Second Amendment as protecting only the right to keep and bear arms in an organized militia, therefore, fits poorly with the operative clause's description of the holder of that right. Scalia saw that people were trying to say only militia people were covered under the Second Amendment, and he said, oh no, this is 2008. He was he was a strong supporter of gun rights and the rights of individuals till he met his untimely demise.
Hillary.
I'm going to try to cut some of this back. Okay, the very text of the Second Amendment implicitly recognizes the pre-existence of the right to own arms. Doesn't say anything about firearms. The Second Amendment doesn't cover firearms. It covers arms. And what's an arm? Glad that I asked. But where did the idea come from for the Second Amendment? And when did it come?
Magna Carta.
And that was a surprise to me.
Comes from the Magna Carta.
Now, when this was written, and who wrote it was a big surprise. And the way it was originally written is right here. There's 13 clauses that limited the power. Number 7 is all Protestants have the right to bear arms for defense. The subjects, which are Protestants, may have arms for their defense suitable to their conditions and as allowed by law. This was written on April the 11th. It was ratified on April the 11th of 1689 by King William III and Queen Mary III in England. This is where our founders got the Second Amendment. So it was ratified 200 years, or over 100 years before our founders used it and got it ratified. So it's been around a while. But the right to own it is not in the Constitution. It predates the Constitution, and that's what the Supreme Court in DC versus Heller. Right, they certified it, you know, like, okay, this predates the Constitution. The right to own arms. What was the arms? What did they say the arms was? Well, first, the right of people. The first feature of the operative clause is that it codifies a right of the people. The unamended Constitution and the Bill of Rights use the phrase right of the people 2 other times in the Constitution. First Amendment and the Fourth Amendment. In search and seizure and right to free speech and in search and seizure. All 3 of these instances refer to individual rights and not collective rights, which is what a lot of the liberals try to put. That it's, you know, well, it does not mean that you can own a weapon and you can't. It's an individual's right, and it's not all people's rights. It's each individual person's right to own it. Keep and bear arms. The holder of the right, the people, to the substance of the right, to keep and bear arms. The 18th century meaning is no different from today. The same meaning in the 18th century in 1773 is identical to today's meaning. The right to keep and bear arms. Arms means the same thing today as it did 300 years ago. In the dictionary, arms means a weapon of offense or armor of defense. And Scalia made sure that that was very clear, that it could be a sword, it could be a knife, it could be a frying pan, everything. Arms, whatever you would take up in your defense, or in, you know, in the offense. If you needed to go after somebody and beat them to a pulp with a frying pan. I suggest cast iron. Timothy Cunningham's important 1771 legal dictionary defined arms as anything that a man wears for his defense or takes into his hands or useth in wrath to cast at or strike another. 1771. The term was applied then as now, and I'm looking at this because I want to make sure I don't get Scalia wrong, because he can write a hell of a lot better than I ever could. Applied then as now to weapons that were not specifically designed for military use and were not employed in a military capacity. Some have made the argument, bordering on the frivolous, that only those arms in existence in the 18th century are protected by the Second Amendment. That's another argument that we see the liberals making. Well, they only had muskets back in the 18th century. Well, what did they have in 1689? Slingshots and catapults. And a few cannons. Scalia says we do not interpret constitutional rights that way. Just as the First Amendment protects modern forms of communications, Fourth Amendment applies to modern forms of search, the Second Amendment extends prima facie to all instruments that constitute bearable arms, slingshots, whatever. Even those that were not in existence at the time of the Founding Fathers writing it. So, what the liberals try to push on these Second Amendment bans, on these weapon bans, if it wasn't in, you know, if you didn't have an AR-15 in 1776, even though they were machine gun.
There was a machine gun.
That's all right.
A machine gun
I've been in the Army a long time, I can't hear.
So, there was a machine gun then, whenever it was written,
Not in 1689.
not in 16.
And that's what he keeps referring to. All of this was previous to the Founding Fathers writing the Constitution. That's where they got it. Keep arms and bear arms. The most natural reading of keep arms in the Second Amendment is to have weapons. The right of every individual to keep arms for his defense, suitable to his condition and degree, which was the public allowance under due restrictions, of the natural right of resistance and self-preservation. The phrase "keep arms" was not prevalent in the written documents of the founding period that we have found, but there are a few examples, all of which favor viewing the right to keep arms as an individual right unconnected with militia service. Scalia put this to rest in 2008 with Heller. To bear. At the time of the founding, as now, to bear meant to carry. And one of the things that, after I fainted from reading this, who wrote the best, I guess the best opinion about this, about to bear, was Justice Ginsburg, of all people. He must not have drunk. Ginsburg wrote, "Surely a most familiar meaning is, as the Constitution's Second Amendment indicates, wear, bear, or carry, upon the person or in the clothing of, or in a pocket for the purpose of, being armed and ready for offensive or defensive action in the case of conflict with another person." Now that's from Ginsburg. Of all people. It's like Nancy Pelosi quoting the Constitution.
She's been doing a lot of that lately.
But it's, you know, it's, the right of the people is, as Scalia is stating, it's the right for us to bear what we consider as arms. You see, I'm wearing one now.
I saw that.
Oh, I'm always wearing one. If you see me, there's a gun around somewhere real close. Most of the time it's on. Yeah, I was a cop, spent 26 years in the Army, and I always had a weapon. And I always will have, because it's our, not our constitutional right to have it. It's a God-given right to have it. It's a constitutional right for the government not to take it away from us. And that's what Heller decided. And Scalia had a perfect response at the end of his summation, or in the end of his, he wrote the opinion for the majority of the Supreme Court, because it was a 5-4 decision, and you can imagine the four that didn't vote for it, or didn't back it up. Scalia was, at the end of it, was, this issue is closed about the Second Amendment. That was his opinion. Like, this issue is closed. This puts an end to the Second Amendment being attacked. Now, what they're doing is they're attacking it by going to these liberal courts. They can't go to the Ninth Court anymore. Because now it's getting too conservative. You give them a couple more shots at it and it'll be completely conservative. So, yeah, he's taking the Ninth District out of California and absolutely destroyed it in their eyes. And he'll get another shot at Ginsburg before the year's out. Because I don't think she can last much longer.
That's why they're trying so hard to get him out.
We quote you on that, Ron.
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah. Well, Ruth Bader Ginsburg was Lincoln's advisor. He helped her, or she helped him with the Gettysburg Group.
Ronald Reagan knew Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said he knew Thomas Jefferson. So what we got, anybody that's interested, this is DC versus Heller. Part of it. I didn't write the dissenters. I didn't write the liberal side of it. And I didn't write it. This is word for word DC versus Heller. And this is the majority's opinion on this. It was written by, this was written by Scalia.
And Scalia was dead, how soon after that?
Well,
Yeah.
not long.
He was the best justice out there.
He was, well, it was his court. Everybody knew Justice Scalia. He ran the Supreme Court. Now, he might not have been the chief justice, but John Roberts didn't know, he didn't go bathroom about Justice Scalia.
They put John Roberts to shame.
Yeah.
Ex-police officer.
See the one that got shot by Cheney?
No, that was Cheney shot. I can't really blame him. Yeah. You just didn't hit him good enough.
But if they're not gonna take the guns, they're gonna go after it through the back door and want to take away the ammunition.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
But all that was touched on
Why they
in
want
DC
red
versus
flag
Dallas.
What's his name? Reed
The
Henderson.
petitioners
If you were to listen.
for DC were saying, well, you can't use the Second Amendment to cover this because District of Columbia's not a state. Well, Scalia had a response for that as well. It don't matter. This is a part of the country, and this is America, these are citizens, and they have the right to keep and bear arms, and we don't have the right to come and take it.
He will tell you why they're.
So he was, you know, Scalia was a genius,
This guy is a
and
constitution.
he made a lot of people cry.
Made me happy.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very smart.
That's short and sweet, that's what this is. If you got any questions on it, I'll be glad to talk to you later. Now, Virginia, my last duty station on active duty in the Army was in Virginia. I was the chief instructor at the Field Artillery School, and I had a training battalion in Virginia, Field Artillery School at Fort Lawton, Oklahoma. And, yeah, I said, I'll take the training battalion to Virginia. But, for 15 years there, after I retired from the Army in 2005, I was actually in the Middle East again. When I got my retirement orders, and the four-star General CENTCOM commander looked at my orders and stuck them in the shredder, and he said, I'll leave before you will. And he did. But I've been over there active duty, and I've been over there this day, working for Central Command and Defense Intelligence Agency. But in Virginia, this election that put Northam and the majority of Democrats in office was decided by 3 counties: Loudoun, Fairfax, Prince George, the city of Richmond, the city of Roanoke, the city of Norfolk. Same thing back when I lived there. Those 3 counties we call the triangle, the Devil's Triangle, that put Obama in office twice. Virginia is conservative as you can be, and if they think that the National Guard, and I taught a lot of National Guard people at the Field Artillery School there, if you think that they're gonna go and take their neighbors' guns away from them, that bunch of rednecks up there ain't giving up their guns. And they'll be the first to tell you, there are a bunch of rednecks up there, and I know most of them. They ain't giving up their guns, and they're not going to their neighbor's house to take them. They might go to the Capitol building and do some damage, but they're not gonna follow that order from the governor. If he thinks they will, he's lost his mind. The Adjutant General of Virginia has already said, now, that ain't happening. That ain't happening. Because I knew him when he was a low-life, lieutenant colonel, going through one of my schools. So, Virginia's in for a long haul. And I know a lot of them here in Georgia. I know a lot of the National Guard in Georgia because I was a tank instructor. The only one tank, I've got a very military experience. But I taught tanks, and I know most of the tankers that have croaked, and they're just too old to get around tanks anymore, but they ain't good for guns in Georgia. But you take a look at the demographics around Fulton County, Cobb County, DeKalb County, Gwinnett County, Bibb County, Savannah, Macon, Albany. If you think it can't happen in Georgia, like she said, it came damn close to happening.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It came close.
And she's still. gonna
We're a
fight.
conservative state. But we got, there's a population growth around Atlanta, just like around Washington DC. The Devil's Triangle up there.
Yeah.
They're the ones that decided who goes where. They're the ones that decide every election, who goes where.
Yeah.
The outlying areas, if you look at them, if you pull up the map, the Trump election, the majority of Virginia, just like the rest of the country, was red. Except at those places that I know, Devil's Triangle, Norfolk, Richmond, Roanoke. And they were the ugliest blue I've ever seen. So, it can happen.
What the conservatives need to do is start banding together the way the liberals do.
Yeah, we're playing by liberalism.
Yeah, I mean.
And I've always
you
said
can't be
this,
always
as a
good guy.
conservative, I always say this: vote early, vote often, just like that.
Yeah.
You can vote 4 or 5 times, vote, and vote when you're dead. Vote twice when you're dead.
Oh, yeah, in fact, I heard somebody talking about the poll watchers. And the other guy said,
Hey,
well,
you come
can we have
back,
some
please
watches
come
at the
back.
cemetery?
Here.
They want to be out there
Our
getting
next meeting
names.
is February 11th.
Thank you, Ron.